I can respect any band or artist that can evolve, whether it's with their sound or just their songwriting ability that lets them stay relevant through decades. You got to appreciate it. There's a guy from the 80s. He was in an awesome band in the 80s. He was awesome then, he's awesome now. But what he did when he started a new band in the mid-2000s is just undeniable. And now I'm talking about what Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue did with his band, Sixx AM. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, music lovers, especially my rock music lovers. Absolutely. Do me a favor. If you're not, subscribe to the channel. Please do so right now. Absolutely hit that button. That will help me in this channel grow. You know the drill. YouTube puts me out there to a more vast audience. In the end, that is good for me in the channel. Again, I think I'm breaking an insanely huge rule, at least from what I've heard. I researched YouTube for almost, I don't know how long, before I started my channel, before I finally worked up the nerve to jump off that cliff and do it. Not literally, but when I finally did, there was so much advice I listened to. Me asking you to subscribe this early in the video was a big no-no, but I can't help it. That's just the way I want to do things. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. But I'm going to do what feels right. So anyway, enough with that little spiel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so right now. Listen, Nikki Sixx and what Motley Crue did in the 80s was huge. As you got to my generation, when we started going from the mid-2000s back to the mid-90s, that range, I remember sometimes if I had friends, I wasn't one of them because I grew up around Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, all those bands from the 80s, Poison, Quiet Riot, Rat, all that. So I heard it so much, I loved it. But when I'd hear my friends say, Motley Crue sucks, that band's, washed up, blah, 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 I'd keep my mouth shut. In my head, I'm thinking, man, that's a badass band. But it's just not what was in at the time. But as you grow, like I did, and respect rock and roll music, you got to respect what Motley Crue did in the 80s. And Nikki Sixx was a huge part of the creative process with Motley Crue. Now, it was never more evident than what he did after he wrote his best-selling novel, The Heroin Diaries, when he followed it up with the soundtrack for that, which was released in 2007 with his new band, Sixx AM. I think back to 2007, I was about a year and a half out of high school, so some of the bands I was hugely into, like undeniably into, were a lot of bands that you wouldn't hear on the radio. Some of their stuff did break through, bands like Rancid, Bad Religion, but No Effects. I'd listen to stuff like that, Face to Face, Madball, Hatebreed. There was so much music I listened to that me and my friends listened to that I thought was the most amazing music in the world, and it just resonated with me so much. But there was bands on the radio that did just as much for me. And around that time, it was 3 Days Grace. It was 10 Years. It was Breaking Benjamin. It was Papa Roach. But when this band, Sixx AM, released their debut album and their first single hit the radio, I lost my freaking mind. And I heard it without even knowing. It was Nikki Sixx's creative genius that started this band, wrote this song, and pretty much every song on this album, with some help from some of the guys in the band on a few of the tracks. But that just showed me right there the genius that was Nikki Sixx the first time I heard the song Life is Beautiful. So the Heroin Diaries soundtrack, which was released August 21st of 2007, Life is Beautiful was the lead single, and like I said, I heard it on the radio. I couldn't believe it because, what I was doing in my life at that time, and how if you heard a song and the lyrics just spoke to you, it's like I could be saying this referring to myself, and Nikki Sixx was a well-known heroin addict and many other drugs, alcohol, all that stuff in the 80s. The dude went hard. He went hard, and he's almost a smaller version of Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. That dude right there, if you go research his life story and all the drugs and alcohol he did and the things he did, the fact that he's still alive today, kicking ass, playing guitar for the Rolling Stones, it's absolutely mind-boggling. Nikki Sixx is just a touch below that, and everything he did, and the fact that he went so hard in the 80s and they rocked out so good, them being Motley Crue, that when it got to this point of releasing this album with Sixx AM, and then that song, Life is Beautiful, came on the radio. I mean, each lyric was like, it was like the most beautiful poetry I'd heard in a while. And I couldn't believe the words and I was hearing on the song, the lyrics that were coming out of the speakers. It was just amazing. And that just showed me right there, Nikki Sixx is an absolute badass. He's an absolute genius. And I couldn't believe, and for some generations, kids a little bit younger than me, hearing that song and falling in love with Sixx AM and that song, and not even knowing who the hell Motley Crue was, was even more mind-blowing, because there was people that loved Motley Crue in the 80s that I played this song for. They didn't know Nikki Sixx was involved with it at all. It was like the perfect sound of alternative rock at that time to fit in with what was in. And the bands I named earlier, the 3 Days Grace, the Papa Roach, 10 Years, Breaking Benjamins, all those bands, this song and this band fit in absolutely perfect with them. But what Nikki Sixx did by bringing in vocalist James Michael and guitarist DJ Ashba was absolutely amazing. These two guys were perfect. Perfect fit with Nikki and a perfect fit for this band. Michael's sound was awesome. I mean, his vocal ability is perfect, and it was a perfect sound to, again, adapt to the times and what rock music was on the mainstream. It was so amazing, hearing Life is Beautiful for the first time, and then, realizing what the project was, because it was just a concept album based on the novel he had written, co-wrote about his life in the 80s. The fact that this guy died, his heart stopped beating in an ambulance from a heroin overdose, was brought back to life. Some of the creative genius that came from that with Motley Crue, which eventually spawned their greatest album of the 80s. And then it continued to inspire a new generation when Sixx AM came out and released the song. It's amazing. And that just tells you right there that Nikki Sixx is a hell of a dude. I mean, he's a human, man. There's going to be things you like and you don't like about him. But I don't know the guy personally. So all I can go by is what I know from the, pop culture, TV, radio, news, whatever it is. That's all I know about Nikki Sixx. One day I would love to meet him. In fact, one day I'd love to interview him. That'd be like awesome interview in my mind. I mean, to be able to talk to Nikki Sixx would be amazing. But the fact that he was able to completely revive his career, in a sense, because I don't think it ever completely died, but Motley Crue did kind of have a lull for a while, and they've been up and down. Right now, they're still out touring, but to me, they're on a down because a lot of the criticism they're getting with their playing on stage in the live shows, and just Vince's voice, and Nikki's bass playing, whether he's really playing or not. None of that shit bothers me. I don't care about none of that. The fact that what these guys did in the 80s was so amazing. And Nikki Sixx already had an in the music industry because the dude's just a creative genius. So Sixx AM was like nothing to him. I mean, but he was so in touch with music at the time that he did the most insanely perfect job when Sixx AM was put together and they wrote these songs. But no doubt Life is Beautiful was a song that resonated with me a lot, and I guarantee it resonated a lot with many of you watching this. But man, Nikki Sixx 2007 was like the resurrection of the Undertaker. So if you're asking yourself, well, you might be, you might not be, but I just want to be kind of, clear about it. Why am I doing this video? Well, a couple reasons. One, because Sixx AM is a badass band, okay? But when this released in 2007 and Life is Beautiful hit the radio, it was so huge for me. I heard this song the other day. It just happened to pop up on my feed. I think it was Pandora. I was listening to 2000s rock or something like that. And this song came on. And it instantly took me back to when I first heard it, what I thought about it even after I found out it was Nikki Sixx's project, what was behind the making of this album, and just everything that went into it. It even made me fall in love with it more. But hearing that song the other day made me realize, I gotta talk about it. Even if it's not a long video, I got to talk about it. And that was a huge thing for Nikki Sixx. That was a huge thing for rock music at the time. Literally, this guy pulled in straight from the 80s into the mid 2000s, didn't skip a beat. Dude's awesome. He knows what the people want. And he hit the nail on the head. And his songwriting ability is amazing. And he's got a lot to draw from in his life. And I think if any of us, were songwriters and we could just write down things about our life, put them into our words, kind of poetically, we could all write some awesome songs. I guarantee that. 100% fact, I guarantee it. We all got something to draw inspiration from, but we're not all songwriters. We're not all in the music industry. But Nikki Sixx is. That's been his life. That's his life. Life's work is the music industry. And the dude, I'd be surprised if he wasn't in touch with what was in. I'm really kind of curious to see, as he's getting older now, he's still out there with Motley Crue, and the band has just done enough to earn the right to stop whenever they want. Mick Mars not playing with the band anymore. John 5 is. It's not a big deal for me. I know some fans don't like it. Some people are against it. I don't care. John 5 is an awesome guitarist, and he fits right in with playing with those guys. And it's just they haven't skipped a beat without Mick, even though he's part of that four, the Motley Crue four, if you will. But anyway, again, Life is Beautiful from Sixx AM's debut album, and the rest of the songs on that album were absolutely amazing. But I just can't deny how huge of an impact that song made on me, and how I could not believe they were able to just jump in to what was hot at the time and fit right in, which is absolutely what Sixx AM did. It's absolutely what Nikki Sixx did. And that's absolutely what this album did, starting with Life is Beautiful. Again, go out there, do something with your life. Doesn't matter how old you are. Does not matter. And if you tell yourself that, you're already losing. You just got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, what do I want to do? What can I say has pushed me in life to want to be better? And whatever that is, draw from it. Be better. Do what you want to do in life. Get out of those ruts and have that Sixx AM moment. Till next time, take care of yourself. I'm out.